Here's the question that I want to ask. What really ended the Azusa Street Revival? You know, a lot of people say it's the mailing list. No, it's not really the mailing list. It actually happened way later. A guy by the name of Brother Griffin became the pastor when William Seymour had passed away. William Seymour's widow was still in the church, Jenny, and she wanted to see the church continue with an emphasis on intercession, emphasis on prayer, and consecration. Brother Griffin wanted to focus in on community, fellowship, that sort of stuff. So what you had was division. All division is multiple visions. One person has one vision on how the church should go. This other person had a vision for how it should go. Now, to be fair to say, William Seymour had his own issues towards the end. He no longer believed in the baptism of the Holy Spirit with evidence of speaking in tongues. He believed that divine love was the evidence. That having greater love for your brother, which is kind of what Griffin wanted, was the evidence, not speaking in tongues or praying in tongues. Okay, and William Seymour actually towards the end said he didn't want white people in his church. And he definitely didn't want them on leadership. He actually wrote a paper that said if no one in leadership will be white. He called them the white brethren. They were brothers. He didn't think they weren't saved, but he said you won't be in leadership at Azusa Street Mission. Okay? And he blamed that on theology and all kinds of other stuff. But he said, look, if you're white, you're not leading. Okay? So it kind of goes deeper than this, but I just kind of want to throw this out here. So here's what had happened. Brother Griffin, Sister Jenny, they had a big disagreement. That disagreement, the last day that Azusa Street Mission was open, here's what happened. They ended up throwing hymnals at each other. Literally, having a hymnal fight. Okay? And the police ended up getting called. They padlocked the mission. It went into a court case. They decided it in the favor of Seymour, but the mission never existed after this. Okay? It ended in a hymnal fight. And instead of a pillow fight, we have a hymnal fight. Okay? And here's the moral of the story, and this is why this is so important. There is still to this day a division in the Pentecostal church of community, relationships, fellowship, that sort of stuff. You have that group, and then you have a group that talks about intercession and revival and the prophetic and stuff like that. The move of the Spirit. And then you have the people who go, well, it's more important that we love each other and love the brethren and have community. And there's still this tension today, the same tension that destroyed the Azusa Street Revival and ultimately closed the doors to the Azusa Street Mission. It's still relevant today. That division is still there. And oddly, Brother Seymour's attitude towards people, to the white brethren, is still relevant today because the Pentecostal church is still racially divided. But I want to focus more on the community versus the intercession. And some people would go, well, why can't they both exist? I mean, surely they can. Well, I would kick you to Acts chapter 5 because Ananias and Sapphira said, look, we want revival, but we want a plan B if revival doesn't happen. And that's kind of what we're dealing with now of revival. People want revival, but yet let's have community as well. You have to be singular focused. And if you're not singular focused, churches are really at a point right now where they have to make a decision. Are they going to follow? Are they going to go for community? Or are they going to go for intercession? And you know what? If a church says, look, we are going to be about community, cool. I'm cool with that. I really am. And a church says, look, we're going to be an intercession church. I'm cool with that. Because I believe that a church, from heaven's perspective, is based in a city, not in a location. So it's okay for a church to specialize in something. If people need community in that season, they go over to where the church emphasizes community. But they're like, look, I want to cry out for revival. Then they go to the churches based in intercession. And, you know, and this whole idea of church, of sheep swapping or whatever you want to call that, it's actually okay. You know, because it's all one church in one city. And this kind of this cross-pollinization, to steal a word Mike Bickle would use, of, you know, people are just growing together in a city. And that's what you know, when we read in Acts, it was the church at Ephesus. It was the church at Corinth. It was the church at Galatia. It was never First Assembly of God, Second Apostolic Church, whatever. It wasn't a Baptist church, a Lutheran church. It was the church. And that's where we need to get back to. But that is why, the real reason that Azusa Street Mission does not exist today was a hymnal fight. See ya.